Hello out there, and today we're going to be doing an overview and a little bit of a story about my experience with Monterey Bay knives. And the two knives that you have in front of you are their two production knives that they've released up into this point. This one right here is called the Minpin, and here is the EZC. And I wanted to do a video with both of these knives because my experience with the company has been just a little bit unique, and I think I might be able to provide a little bit more insight just telling that story instead of doing a review on these knives, which a lot of people have already done. So yeah, let's just get into it. A little bit of background about Monterey Bay. Basically, they are a small production company that is selling designs by Laconico. So Ray himself is very much involved in the company from my understanding. Ray is a pretty well-known knife designer. He has some really good designs like the Gemini with Kaiser. His customs are very sought after. Just a really good designer, some great knives that he has made. And Monterey Bay is a way to access some of those designs in a smaller batch kind of style than what you would get from, say, Kaiser, and a more accessible batch than what his customs would run for. So it's a good little happy medium. And the company is run by a guy named Sanford Owen, primarily from my understanding. And yeah, I had some really good interaction with him. And honestly, guys, if you watch the first half of this video, you might think that this is a negative overview, and if you watch the second half, you'll probably see it as a positive thing because things went a little bit up and down with me. And so yeah, let's just jump into that. So the way I first heard about this company is that our pass around group was getting an example of both of these knives. And I saw it, and I don't know if I was busy at the time or something, but I didn't sign up for either of these knives. I wasn't really all that interested in them, and a lot of times with the pass around, if it's a model that I wasn't already interested in, I don't sign up to get it because it's not necessarily, I'm not trying to bring in things that are just very foreign to what we do on this channel. And I had no idea what Monterey Bay was, so sort of didn't really pay much attention to it, stuck to what I was doing at the time, whatever that was. But eventually what happened was I was on Instagram, and I saw a raffle for this knife. And just on a whim, I threw in a few bucks, and I won it. And so this became my knife. And yeah, I got it. I told the guys in the pass around group, hey, there's like 12 of you signed up for the pass around for this knife. When I get mine, let's just split the list in half. I'll send mine to half of you, and that way everybody can get the knife faster. And the group was really happy about that. Definitely a cool thing to do. Other people have done similar things before, so it just seemed like a good way to speed up the pass around. Problem was, when I got my Minpin, it just was not a very good knife. There were a couple issues with it that I thought were a significant problem, and I wanted to make sure that the best example of this knife possible was going around to the people in the pass around group. And what I was finding was that the one that I won, which was pretty close to brand new, had a ton of lock stick, and it also, when you adjusted the pivot in order to try to get rid of that lock stick, you got some up and down play. And it just wasn't good. And so I decided to get in touch with Sanford Owen, who, like I said, he basically runs the day-to-day of that company. And he was awesome, man. I got to tell you, customer service was on point. He contacted me back immediately. I think I sent him an email. He emailed me with his cell phone number. I don't know that he would do that with every customer. Obviously, he knew that I was part of the pass around and was trying to make sure that we got the best knife for that pass around. So, take that aspect of it with a grain of salt. But as far as taking care of me, he was super cool. He seemed like a guy who was 100% committed to getting, a good quality knife out and had a lot of pride in what he did. And so he said he would replace the knife, and he did. And so this was the knife that he sent to me in its place. And I got the knife, and it was better, but it still occasionally has some lock stick, and of course it's not doing it right now. But there we go. So it still has that problem, you know, there's no stainless steel interface on this knife. And it was a bummer for me because, to be honest with you guys, I just didn't like this knife to begin with anyway. And I still don't. There are just a lot of things, apart from the blade shape, which is awesome. I love this belly. And I like the attention to detail with this like tiny choil here. I think the blade is just exceptionally attractive. But otherwise, the rest of the knife, the titanium here, everything just seems like it's machined a little bit sharp. It's not comfortable in hand for me. Like it digs right here where the flipper comes down. You can hear it just like sticking again. The flipper itself is just, it's just not, just isn't a good design for me. I've got to give it some credit for what is an absolutely beautiful backspacer. Let's see if we can get, there you go. Maybe I'll insert a picture of that, but this is, I think this is a carbon fiber backspacer, and it's just beautiful. So aesthetically, there is that going for it, but it just didn't seem like the best titanium. Like I said, the best machining. Just a lot of things about this knife just weren't very good. Oh wow, here we go. There's also no over travel stop, so gotta be careful for that, but there we go. So yeah, for me, it just wasn't a win. I wasn't a fan of this knife. And after I got this knife back, I did send it around in the pass around group. I let everybody do their reviews, so you can probably hunt down those reviews. But I decided to sign up for the EZC to see, you know, what else was going on with Monterey Bay, and to see if this knife was better than the Minpin. And the EZC is another Laconico design, but a lot of people who didn't like the Minpin, Slicey Dicey specifically, were saying, no, the EZC is a much better knife. And I gotta tell you, I got this one in hand, and it is. This EZC is a really good knife. And I think EZC stands for like easy carry, basically. So it's just a really simple everyday carry kind of knife. But it's just executed so much better. The machining is so much smoother. The action seems smoother. There is a stainless steel interface that you can see right here. So the lockup is good. No stick. It's just a much better executed knife. And unfortunately, aesthetically, I do think that the Minpin is the better looking knife, especially in the blade. But when it comes to just overall carry, comfort, usability, there's no question that for me, the EZC is much better. And it's just odd, you know, it's odd that the two knives could be so different. And I looked at the packaging too, and you have this kind of packaging for the Minpin, and then this kind of packaging for the EZC. And this is really reminiscent of Kaiser packaging. And I gotta tell you, if I had to guess what brand this knife could be if it wasn't a Monterey Bay, I would guess that it's a Kaiser. It feels like a Kaiser. It's that level of quality. You know, and both of these knives are running with S35VN, both of them titanium, and they're both overseas produced, but I don't know by who, and I don't really keep track of that kind of stuff. I don't worry about that kind of stuff. But what it does seem to me is that two different companies produced these two knives. I don't think for a second that the same company that made this. It's possible, but it just doesn't seem like the same use of materials. The pivots aren't the same. There's a lot of things that are just different about these knives that if they were made in the same factory, especially being the first two production knives from a company, that you would expect, you know, them to be more similar. But these are very different knives, and the EZC just blows the Minpin away in terms of the quality of manufacturing. It is also significantly cheaper, coming in at $180 to the Minpin's $220. Again, same materials, just aesthetically better here, maybe, but every other aspect with this is a step up. And I don't really know how that happened. I'm not privy to it. I do have to expect, though, that the people at Monterey Bay understand that they have a winner in this knife. And what I've got to say about them is that they did everything they could with the Minpin to get me a knife that I would be satisfied with. And the problems were with just the quality of the machining, the design, all the things about it that I just didn't care for, and some of the decisions that they made. But I think that regardless of which one actually was released first, I think they have two knives where they can look back and see what worked and see what didn't. And I think moving forward, when they put new designs into production, I can expect at least that there will be a level of quality that's more on par with what we see here than what we see here. And if their level of customer service is like indicative of what I received at least, then I will have 100% confidence in purchasing from them in the future. And honestly, with Ray Laconico Designs, I'll be excited to do that because he has some really, really cool looking knives. So I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited for what Monterey Bay Knives is going to do next. This is a good little EDC. But if you take a look at these two, and while I have them here, I'll bring out a size comparison. Both of the things that they've released have been relatively small, even compared to, a pair of 3. So small knives. So there is just a lot more that they can do, and I'm excited to see where it goes. So yeah, that's my take on it, guys. Hopefully this gave you a little bit of background with all the other reviews that there are about these two knives. A little bit of a understanding as to what my perspective is here and where I think this company can be going in a very positive note. All right, so any questions, comments, complaints, suggestions, let me know down below. Really appreciate you watching. Thank you very much and take care. Have a good one.